Welcome back to Jaime Leigh Art. My name is Jaime Leigh, and here on my channel we talk about art and true crime, and paranormal art stories. We also do time-lapse painting videos and just some fun art things that I find along the way that I think might be interesting to film and share with you. So it is the fall of 2025. It is spooky season. We're leading up to Halloween, and I had bought some project kits from Michaels. Their Make Market. Make Market is the brand, and it's a Michaels brand. And this year, 2025, they came out with all of these cute Halloween or spooky themed kits, and I am a spooky girl, and that is just my vibe. So if you're interested in finding out if these kits are any good, if they're fun, if the product that comes out of it is something that you might like to actually display in your home, then go ahead and follow along. So far, I've done a diamond painting of a raven that was in one of their kits. And this one here is this cute ghost kit. It's a framed paint by numbers. It comes with the instructions, the paints, the brushes, the little oval shaped canvas, and the black frame. And I just thought these were the cutest things ever. Now, obviously, I'm an artist. I could literally create this on my own. I don't need a paint by numbers kit, but I just thought it was super cute. It's fun. And sometimes, art doesn't have to be so serious. If you're a fine artist, if you're any type of, artist, creative maker, you can do other things. And sometimes it's fun when you are an artist to just try out things and do things for relaxation where you can still feel creative, you can still create something that's fun or interesting, and it doesn't change your status as an artist at all. So just have fun and go with it. So I'm going to be making this cute little canvas of a ghost holding a cat. Like I said, it comes with this little frame, and on the back you can display it with that stand-up piece on a shelf, or it also has a magnet attached, so you could attach it to something like your refrigerator or something magnetic where you can just stick it there and display. Like, let's say you work in an office and you have a filing cabinet, you could literally make this and stick it onto your filing cabinet. I just think it's adorable. And the kit comes with everything you need in order to create this painting, and they had other varieties as well. Now, me being an artist, I saw this and I thought, this is super cute. I would love to do this. However, I don't have cats, and obviously it's a little kind of like witchy ghost, so, a black cat would make sense. However, I own Frenchies, and I am a Frenchie and a bulldog mom. We have 3 Frenchies and 1 English bulldog. So I thought, since I'm doing this and it's a paint by numbers kit and I am an artist in my real life, I'm going to change the cat and turn it into a Frenchie. So the first thing that I will do before I get going on any of the things in this kit is I'm going to change this drawing that they provided into a little ghost wearing a witch's hat holding a Frenchie instead of a cat. That's just my personal preference. If you wanted to pick up a kit, you don't have to, change it. You can just do it as is. But I thought that might add another layer to this to make it a little more personal to my own situation, and something that I would display and be like, look, I made this cute little kit and I changed it into a Frenchie because I have Frenchies. So in order to convert this kit into a ghost holding a Frenchie, I took my white gel pen. It is a white Jelly Roll Sakura pen. I use this frequently in my watercolors, and it really basically adds that final definition when I'm using it in watercolors, adding the white highlights and stuff. However, here, because the canvas itself is white, I took this white gel pen and I whited out, basically used it like whiteout. Remember old school whiteout? I basically used it to remove any lines that were not going to work for turning this cat into a Frenchie, like the long tail. I would have to change the head and the ears. So this white pen is what I'm using to start with so that I can make my drawing of a Frenchie once the white dries. So as you can see, I removed some parts of the cat. and I will let that white pen dry, and then I'm going to use a fine liner pen, and I'm going to draw in the lines that I will need to do a Frenchie instead of a cat. Now, the body style is actually pretty similar. I just had to take away that tail and then define the feet a little bit more. The place where I made the most changes is going to be on the ears, because Frenchie ears are very distinctive, and so I wanted you to look at it and be 100% sure you were looking at a Frenchie. So I added some folds into the ghost where the tail had been, so that way I'm going to do, little ghost folds instead of the tail. And then I pulled up my Ohuhu acrylic paint marker, and I'm using that to also disguise some of the lines up here. Get rid of basically to go over the numbers, because it is a paint by number. So they put numbers in to show you which paint color to use. I whited all of that out with the acrylic paint marker, and I'm going to add back in my own lines here. And this is really a simple way of personalizing this paint by numbers kit. If you are interested in doing the same thing yourself, it is fairly simple to do. Now I have my pencil, and I'm going to draw in the correct lines that I'm going to use for my painting. Basically here I am adding in the top of the head and the little Frenchie ears. Frenchies have big bat-like ears, and you can basically recognize a Frenchie right away by, their little ears. So I went ahead and made those so that it looks like my dog's ears that stick straight up. And because a Frenchie also has a very different nose situation than a cat does, I changed the nose. A lot of Frenchies will have a squished in little nose and then wrinkles around the nose that define the bottom part of their face. So I drew in a Frenchie nose and little wrinkles around that nose. Some Frenchies have more defined features than others, but I just kept it simple because the drawing is small. And then I added little eyes on the top part of where that nose wrinkle would be off to the side to give that Frenchie look. And as you can see, this does change the look of this drawing quite a bit. You can definitely tell it's not a cat anymore. I gave it little eyebrows. And I also had to work the ears around the ghost eyes. You can see the ghost eyes are kind of in the middle of the two Frenchie ears. And I had to make sure I drew those in so that I didn't cover up the eyes, because I thought that would look kind of weird. So for the bottom of the Frenchie, I pretty much kept in the cat legs and feet. I didn't really have to change too much there. So now my edits are done, and I have a ghost holding a Frenchie, and I can go ahead and start working on the painting. It gave these old school paint, little bucket, I don't know what you call those, the little things. I remember these from when I was a kid. And I will say that for, what this is, cheap little containers of paint in this little holder that you could get from dollar store type things or whatever. The paint itself was actually quite good. It was good quality paint. It was thick. You didn't have to go over the areas a bunch of times to build up the layers. I noticed that the paint was covering things quite well. For a paint by number, you definitely don't want the numbers to show through. That would just make it look bad. And this paint was thick enough to make it to where you could cover up the lines and the numbers with the paint and not have to struggle too much. So that was nice. I appreciated that. And obviously the whole point of a paint by number kit, the drawing on the canvas has numbered sections corresponding to the numbers on the containers of paint. It did come with 2 paint brushes. I wanted to stick to what was in the kit, so I only used the brushes they gave you. So they give you a larger straight flat brush and then a smaller, more pointed brush. I used the larger brush pretty much only for the background because the rest of it, the brush was too big. So, I mean, maybe that's why they did it that way. They gave you that brush to paint in the black, which the background is all black, and then they gave you the smaller brush to do the little painting itself. I feel like the paint brushes were fine. They weren't anything special, but, you know, you could do the kit with the paint brushes, and it was not going to, you know, be too bad. They weren't like, you know, the highest level of brushes you could get, but it is just a small kit with not a ton of things to have to paint. So hopefully in their larger kits they might give more brushes. I don't know, because this is the only one I bought, but they did the job, and that's basically what mattered. I have, you know, 100 brushes in my collection that I use because I'm painting all the time, but I wanted to try out the brushes they gave you here just to report back on, are these brushes any good? And yeah, they'll do the job. They're decent. I didn't have to struggle too bad. The little brush hairs didn't come out into the painting, so they're not that cheap. They gave you, like I said, the bigger brush to use on the background and the smaller for the little parts, which I thought, you know, that was nice. The smaller brush probably could have, it was okay. And I used that to do the actual lining around the ghost itself, because that bigger brush, I would have just had a hard time being that precise. So I switched to the smaller brush, and I'm pretty sure I used the smaller brush for everything else on this painting, besides that larger area in the background. So here you see me outlining everything in the black with that small brush. So the way the canvas here is, it's a little oval canvas, and you paint the black around to the very edge of it. So I just put my canvas on a paper towel. That way I'm not painting my desk when I paint the black to the edges. So if you're doing this as well, you might want to put your painting on something, so otherwise you might end up making a bit of a mess on your surface, unless you have a desk that, you know, you can leave paint on it and it doesn't matter. But I did this just to make it a little more neat. Then I moved on to the Frenchie. The Frenchie eyes are black, the nose is black, and I'm doing the lines on the Frenchie's, like the bottom part of the nose and the mouth, make those black as well. So just putting in all of the details that are going to be black in the final painting. So there is my Frenchie's eyebrows, eyes, and little nose, and the ghost's eyes. all done in the black. And like I said, that black is pretty decent as far as coverage goes. Now here the kit has a gray color, so I switched to gray. My first Frenchie that I have, Stella, she is a gray Frenchie. She's actually called Lilac because her skin is like a light purpley color under the gray. But her fur is like a combo of gray and like tan mixed together. So I decided to make this Frenchie gray like Stella. Stella is 6 years old. I got her in 2019. She was born, I think, in August of 2019, and I got her in October. And I've obviously had her ever since. She's the first Frenchie that I own. She is my baby. No matter how badly she behaves, it does not matter because she is my baby and can do no wrong. That is absolutely false. She is a menace. When they tell you that Frenchies are gremlins, she is the actual poster child for a gremlin Frenchie. She has an attitude. When she wants to get your attention for you to like pet her or to do something, she'll come up to you and just scratch the crap out of you until you pay attention, which is always a lovely time. She thinks she's 10 feet tall and weighs 400 pounds and will try to bully the other dogs, even though they're, 5 times her size, some of them. So, yeah, she is an aggressive female Frenchie, but she is also adorable. So she gets away with all of it. Now I'm done with the gray areas, and I'm moving on to another color. In this kit, they didn't give a red or a pink, and I wanted to stay true to the kit, so I am using brown. It's like a tan brown color to do the interior of the ears of the Frenchie. Probably if I was doing my own, I would have picked pink, like a darker pink, but I gave a little bit of brown and a little brown mark on the forehead to go ahead and paint those areas. All of our Frenchies, all of our dogs, have different personalities. Stella is our aggressive gremlin. The next Frenchie we got is Duke. He is a boy, and we got him in 2021. He's a black brindle Frenchie, and he is a chill, calm dude. He is very intelligent. He is very well behaved. We can take him out in public. He doesn't need to have a leash. He will listen. He will obey the majority of the time. But yeah, he is a chill, calm, very relaxed boy Frenchie, total opposite of Stella. And then our most recent Frenchie, he is also a boy. He is a rescue. He came to us just this past September 18th. He was rescued from a breeder in Texas and brought to us so that we could adopt him. We were told at the time that he was like 8 months to a year, but then they sent us the vet papers from his visit with the vet through the rescue, and he's actually a 3-year-old Frenchie. So we think he may have been used in the breeding, possibly. They neutered him when the rescue got him, so he no longer has his boy parts. I mean, the internal ones. He does have the external ones, except for anyway, we won't go there. But he's neutered. And he is also a very chill guy. Very sweet personality, very friendly, very cuddly, very... also listens really well, also very well, I would say, quote-unquote, trained because he's 3 and we just got him, but in the several weeks that we've owned him, incredibly smart, listens well, was not fully house-trained when we got him, but in the past 3 weeks is pretty much almost all the way house-trained. We think he was probably kept in a crate much of the time. He was very skinny. You could see his whole backbone. He's gained a good amount of weight since we got him. and he is just a very laid back kind of guy as well. So Frenchies are very fun. They definitely have distinctive personalities, and that's why I love mine. I got Stella before Frenchies were like booming in popularity, and I would definitely recommend looking at rescues to see if you can find a Frenchie if you were interested in one, because our most recent rescue Frenchie, oh, by the way, I named him Edgar Allan Poe, and we call him Poe for short, or Potato, and he is the best, sweetest, most friendly, most cute little dog. Came from a rescue, and obviously had a more difficult life before he came here, but he will be here forever. This is his home, and we will keep him until the very end, as we would with all our dogs. But if you are interested in a Frenchie, I would suggest looking at rescues or shelters. Our Frenchies are, not really prone to many health problems, thank goodness. Like I said, Stella's almost 6, and we've spent some money here and there on her. But her health overall is, like, she's robust. She's healthy as a horse. She, except for the few times she's maybe eaten something and shouldn't have. Other than that, she's a stout girl. So, but I do know that Frenchies can have some pretty strong health issues, so you have to be willing to pay for those through the vet, obviously, but it's 100% worth it. They are great dogs. All right. Thank you all for coming to my Frenchie TED Talk. Now on with the video. And as you can see here, I am painting this Frenchie pretty much following the guides that they gave for painting the cat on the lower half of the body. Belly and the feet are just like the painting suggested. So I lied about only using what's in the kit, and I actually decided to add something here. I'm using a Micron pen in black, and I just thought that the Frenchie didn't really pop and stand out from the ghost, so I outlined the Frenchie with the black Micron. I didn't do it using the paint because then the line wouldn't be as uniform, and then I signed the bottom in white gel pen. With that signature, it completed it, and the little paint by numbers painting is finished. I hope you enjoyed today's video of me taking a Michaels paint by number kit and customizing it a little bit so it's a little bit more personal, and showing you what the finished outcome would look like. If you did enjoy this video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. I would love it if you would subscribe. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!